What's up, Taiwan? I'm Jaime with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's legislature has passed an amendment to the country's same-sex marriage law. The change will allow LGBTQ couples to adopt a non-relative child. Taiwan legalized same-sex marriage in 2019, but the law did not grant LGBTQ couples joint custody over an adopted child. This prevented couples from receiving certain benefits like parental leave. Laws laying out adoption measures for LGBTQ couples will be the same as those outlined in Taiwan's civil code. Taiwan saw the most cyber attacks of any country in early 2023. That's according to a report by an American-Israeli software company. The report says Taiwan experiences over 3,000 attacks a week, more than 2.5 times the global average. Taiwan's digital ministry set up a new office earlier this year to improve the country's cybersecurity. The legislature also passed a law on Tuesday that fines private companies up to $500,000 if they leak private data. Taiwan's military says it's completed inspection of new missiles for the country's fleet of F-16V fighter jets.
This is a Sidewinder missile, built to be fired from warplanes at other aircraft. It's one of the most advanced weapons of its kind. Taiwan recently purchased 140 of these missiles from the U.S. as part of an effort to boost the capabilities of its new fleet of F-16V fighter jets. The military says the weapons have completed inspection and are now ready to be deployed. The upgrade is just one way Taiwan is strengthening its defenses amid an increase in Chinese warplanes operating around the country. China has been sending out more aircraft and warships around Taiwan because it sees the country as part of its territory. Lawmakers from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party, or DPP, say that these missiles enhance Taiwan's ability to defend its airspace.
基本上，制空权在台湾目前来讲，我们也有相当的信心。台湾是全世界飞弹密度第2高的国家。
Given the growing threat from China, Taiwan has moves to boost defense spending in recent years, putting forward billions of dollars. The Sidewinder missiles, worth more than $400,000 each, will be a crucial part of the country's ability to protect its skies.
Taiwan's military says its amphibious support ship, the Yusan, will enter service in June. The domestically built warship is one of the country's largest and will carry supplies and personnel to outlying islands. In wartime, the ship can transport landing craft, missile batteries, and troops. The Yusan is named after Taiwan's highest mountain and is the first of 4 ships in its class to be completed. The U.S. and Micronesia have agreed to renew a strategic pact when U.S. President Joe Biden visits the country later in the month. The Compact, a Free Association Agreement, or COFA, is an economic and military cooperation pact with the U.S. and Pacific Island countries. Besides Micronesia, 3 others have already signed it. The framework lets the U.S. military operate in certain areas. It comes as the U.S. and Micronesia look to push back against China's influence in the Indo-Pacific. U.S. President Joe Biden is set to visit the Pacific Island nations on his way to the Quad Summit at the end of May. As leaders of the G7 nations prepare to meet in Japan, it's been hard to ignore the ongoing debt ceiling standoff in the U.S. Congress. The U.S. government stands to run out of money next month, but House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has said that talks to find a solution are not in a good place. This could play into the hands of the country's geopolitical rivals. Joyce Tseng explains.
U.S. government debt. It's viewed by many as one of the safest investment options in the world, an anchor for the global financial system. But now that assumption is under threat.
The notion of defaulting on our debt is something that would so badly undermine the U.S. and global economy that I think it should be regarded by everyone as unthinkable.
That unthinkable is coming closer to reality. The U.S. hit its debt limit again in January and has resorted to extraordinary measures to maintain government payments, which are quickly running out. Congress is divided on how to proceed, and if it fails to act, Washington could be forced to default on its debts as early as June 1st, an unprecedented declaration that the U.S. government has run out of money. First and foremost, that would cause hardship for millions of Americans, and Washington's geopolitical rivals could seek to capitalize on the chaos.
both Russia and China would look to perceive, sort of narrate through information operations such an event as demonstrating the chaos within the United States that we're not capable of functioning as a democracy. And
since 2009, the United States government has spent about $1 trillion over its budget each year. It must borrow money to meet all of its commitments, like national defense, healthcare, and paying government workers. The debt ceiling is the total amount of money its federal government can borrow. In January 2023, this stood at $31.4 trillion. If more money is needed, Congress can raise the debt ceiling and authorize extra cash. It's done so countless times before. A U.S. default would send shockwaves through the global economy, a fear that's looming over a group of 7 leaders as they gather for the main summit in Hiroshima this week. It would also jeopardize another key component of American financial supremacy, the U.S. dollar. The dollar underpins U.S. debt and is the most widely used currency in international trade. Over half of the world's foreign currency reserves are held in U.S. dollars, but even this so-called economic stabilizer is on the line. Instability of the dollar could plunge the world into a financial crisis, but superpower rivals like China may stand to benefit. Beijing has been aspiring to make the renminbi the next global currency, something that would strengthen their economy's resilience. Some have already bought in. Last month, Argentina, which is heavily indebted to the U.S., said it would begin using China's currency to pay for Chinese imports.
Sentimos que estamos viviendo un momento histórico, un cambio histórico a nivel de lo que es la internacionalización del renminbi y la fuerza que va a empezar a cobrar.
Beijing previously seized on the global financial crisis of 2008 as evidence that the U.S. shouldn't be the leader of the world's economy. The current standstill in Washington over how to avoid an unprecedented default could cause irreparable damage to its reputation at the cost of the global financial system. Kaohsiung, James Chater, and Joyce Zhen for TaiwanPlus.
2 online petitions calling for a 4-day work week and shorter working days have crossed the 5,000 signature threshold. This means that the government will have to discuss whether or not they are viable options. Bing Wang reports.
Real estate agent Cho Si-shun is finishing things off at work in preparation for his 3-day weekend. His company implemented a 4-day work week where employees only work Monday to Thursday and have Friday to Sunday off.
在公司的时间变短了，所以我自己会安排的时间可能就会更精准，所以更多的时间可以去做自己希望的事情。
The idea of a 4-day week is gaining traction in Taiwan. An online petition calling for a 3-day weekend passed the 5,000 signature threshold, which means the government must consider the issue and have a response to it within a month. Another petition put before the government called for a 6 or 7-day workday instead of the current 8. Even universities are thinking about cutting back on required attendance time and switching to a 4-day school week.
对学生的这个学习的内容来讲的话，并没有任何的减少。原来5天的课程浓缩这个缩减到4天，把它全部修完。那我觉得这个应该是很好的，学生有更多的时间可以做自己的思考。
Penn says courses will still be taught the same and teacher salaries won't be cut. But not everyone is on board with the idea of a 4-day work week, especially in the service industry.
配合消费者的需要，他们希望每天都能够营业。对，换句话说，现在要推周休3日的话，我想跟民生消费有关的这些服务、内需服务业呢，他们应该会比较自然来行。
5-day work weeks have been the norm for almost 100 years. It will take a big overhaul to switch to 4 days a week. But if Cho's company's success is any indication, that long-established convention may soon be broken. James Lin and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
Executions rose globally by 53% in 2022. That's according to an annual report on worldwide death sentences and executions by Amnesty International. Countries that reportedly carried out the most executions last year were Iran, Saudi Arabia, and China. The report lists China as most likely having the highest number of state-sanctioned killings in 2022. However, this cannot be fully verified, as China does not publish official data on executions. Taiwan is also listed in the report. The country sentenced 3 people to death last year, but has not executed anyone in 2 years. For more on the Amnesty International report and Taiwan's relationship with the death penalty, TaiwanPlus reporter Jaime Olivier spoke with Cho Yiling, Executive Director of Amnesty International Taiwan.
So according to this new report, global executions rose by 50% in 2022. What are the reasons for this very large rise?
Last year, there are 20 countries executed the death penalty, and 90% of the executions related to the drug-related crimes. So, and it's all violate the international human rights law, because according to the international human rights law and the UN conventions, it's only the most serious crime could be used the death penalty as the punishment.
Taiwan is listed in this report as a country that has kept its death penalty. Why has Taiwan not gotten rid of this practice, even though it maintains these commitments to protecting human rights?
We still see that the Taiwanese government keep using the the majority supports the death penalty as a reason and an excuse to postpone all these steps toward the abolishment. So and also in the past we keep seeing that many politicians or the ruling parties, they will use the executions when they get the lower support from the voters, or when during the elections.
So even though Taiwan continues to sentence people to death, it hasn't actually performed any executions in 2 years. Is putting these kinds of temporary moratoriums or halts on executions a good approach for Taiwan?
We should consider about the implementation of a moratorium. But we also know that if we have a moratorium for a long time, it also will cause another issue, that the death row, they will served in the prison for many years, like more than decades. So that will be another inhuman and crucial treatment. I think the next step is still to move toward the abolishment, and also thinking about how to to transform the criminals into a new person through our correction mechanism, through our prison.
That was Amnesty International Taiwan Director Cho Yiling speaking with our reporter Jaime Olivier. A deadly cyclone has left thousands of people displaced in Bangladesh and Myanmar. Cyclone Mocha hit the two countries' coastlines on Sunday in what was the equivalent of a Category 5 storm. At least 6 people have been reported dead in Myanmar, while no casualties have been reported in Bangladesh. The brunt of the cyclone hit Myanmar's strife-torn Rakhine state, where around 6 million people are already in need of humanitarian aid. The Burmese military has since declared the whole of the state as a natural disaster zone. Back in Taiwan, bird lovers in Kaohsiung are taking turns to guard a family of rare black-naped orioles from poachers. The family's nest was spotted in a tree in the southern city, close to the Kaohsiung City Council. Taiwan's local subspecies of black-naped oriole has become endangered due to habitat loss and poaching. Fewer than 200 are believed to be survived in the wild. Though protected, the colorful songbirds are popular with collectors and can fetch up to $650 on the black market. Volunteers have been watching over the nest in shifts after a possible poacher was spotted near the area with a pole and a net. The city council says it will do its best to protect the birds.
对整个议会来讲，对环境的教育、动物的保护，对高雄市议会的同仁来讲，都上了一个宝贵的课。
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally today, we leave with the images of the first race day in Spain for the Golden Trail World Series. I'm Jaime Ocon. Take care and see you next time.